he could be the next heavyweight champion.
If I was a betting man, I'd say he probably doesn't fight for a title again.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's what fighters do.
Live on the Fight Report.
Different. It's just a totally different world.
They will promote all the fighters and we're working together.
I don't want to do it at 80% or 90%. I want to be 100, 110%.
It's been an honor to have you on the show. Sean Lennon with the Fightlete Report. Gorgeous George. Check out the MMA Junkie Podcast, streaming live. And also you can join his Patreon site. I was on the Fights Camera Action show that's weekly if you're a part of the Patreon. So make sure to subscribe to that and show your support. And we love having MMA Junkie on the show. Love having Gorgeous George. How you doing, brother?
Good. You want to know the results? I got them right here.
Yeah, sure.
Fights Camera Action. All right, let's see here. Goze had Woodley, Dern, and Shevchenko, so he went 1-2. Hunter had Burns and Elliott. He went 1-1. Jason Buckamer, our ex-intern, he had Woodley, Sakai, and Chikagian. So he went. Check this out. Check this out, Sean. Jason had Chikagian, Sakai, and Woodley. His parlay was 100 to win 515, if he really bet 100. But let's just say he did.
Mm.
So this is one of those where going into the last fight, if Woodley wins, he wins 515. So at that point, what you want to do is put 100 to win 155 on Burns. Maybe even more. You could put 200 to win 310 on Burns. If Burns wins, you win 310, but you lose the $100 parlay, so you still clear 210.
Oh,
if
nice.
Burns loses, you lose the $200 play, but you win 515, so you clear 315. So he could have put himself in a position where he's either winning 210 or 315. Either way, he can just sit back and enjoy the fight and have a beer. He doesn't care who wins.
Yeah.
That's what hedging can do if you want to hedge. If you don't want to hedge, then you live and die with your Woodley play, and in this case, he would die and lose 100. So hedging's not the end of the world. Sean had Gutierrez, winner. Dern, winner. Woodley, minus 175. But yours was only going to pay 270. So I don't know if you really want to hedge there because it's not much because you had the heavy favorite in Dern. But you still went 2-1. And then mine was a fun one. It was just a little guy. It was Morales, Sakai, Woodley, Elliott, Quarantillo. So it looks like Morales lost right off the bat, and then Elliott lost, and then So none of us would have hit our parlay.
No, but hey, it was fun learning about that, and seeing that basically if I would have picked Burns instead of Woodley, I probably would have made something.
Oh yeah, then that would have helped offset it. So the best you could have done is win 270. I suppose you could have went 1 to 155 the other way. You could have set yourself up with maybe a for sure $100 win either way. If you were tracking it and you had the ability to bet on the spot.
Sure.
So anyway, there you go. I kept the results just so we could razz each other.
Sounds good. So yeah, what did you think of the fight night? Just what was your takeaway? Like your 3 biggest takeaways of last night's fights?
All right, Gilbert Burns is for real, man. Who beats up Tyron Woodley other than the champ Kamaru Usman? But who really takes it to him like that? I mean, Burns fought at lightweight and couldn't make the weight. So then he comes up to 170, and he is just looking phenomenal, man. He really looked great. He cleared up the welterweight picture a little bit. For one, if Masvidal says, I'll fight him, and they can sign Usman, I think that's a fight to me. But if Masvidal says, nah, Usman waited too long, I'm going to go fight Diaz or Conor or someone else, then I think Burns may have overtaken Covington and Edwards, depending on how you look at it, That's how good Burns' performance was. So that's one. Another one is, you know what? I'm a Casey Kenny fan, man. He looked good. I'm getting excited for his fights. And the bantamweight division is on fire, so I can't wait for his next one. And get this, he's playing with house money because he says he can still go back to flyweight. And That's nice to know when you can go up and down like that. You know, he's actually had a pretty decent run at flyweight. He actually beat Royval at LFA a few fights back at 125. So Kenny can make both weights, but right now he's doing great as a bantamweight. His only loss in the UFC, I think, is to Davishvili. So I like that guy. And then either Jamal Hill or maybe Mackenzie Dern. I mean, she's popular. The weight's no longer an issue. I would say Jamal Hill. I'm a little bit more excited with him. Not as excited as Halle Berry, but I'm as excited about him than any of the others. So I would say those are my three main takeaways.
Nice. Yeah, I feel like Gilbert Burns is now that position where, he's just on the cusp of possibly getting a world title shot. We'll see, who's in the mix. We'll see, obviously we are under so many conditions now, that can change everything. Even Dana White doesn't know when he's scheduling the fights in the future. So, but yeah, he looked so convincingly. Burns, do you think that he beat him better than Usman beat him? Like, was it more devastating? Yeah.
Yeah, because he did it in different ways. He out-wrestled him, but he also outstruck him. Look, they were both impressive. I don't want to take anything away from Usman. They were both impressive. But I thought Burns did it in a more entertaining fashion. And it looks like he might still even have more upside. Who knows? He almost finished him in the first round, man. That was crazy.
It's true. Yeah, that was crazy. And I'd have to go with, of course, Roosevelt Roberts over Brock Weaver. That was nice. That was a nice one.
He was slick. Yeah, dude, that was a tough question. I only had 3 to choose from, but Roosevelt Roberts looked good for sure. I love his submission game. He's got some nice stand-up. Spike Carlisle in a losing effort impressed me by how much heart he has and how strong he can go all the way to the end, man. That guy's a physical specimen in that regard. I mean, he had his back taken and with body triangles, and yet he was still explosive enough to get out of those positions.
Definitely. And the third was, for me, Mackenzie Dern. I thought she would win this fight pretty easily. But just, seeing her, time off, I know she had suffered her first loss. I mean, I wasn't surprised, but it was just definitely a takeaway tonight was just, she came in as I thought she would, and she dominated.
If she can round out her wrestling game and get the fight down to the ground easier, then she's already polished up her striking a little bit. It's not great, but it's really good, and I think she's got some power. She's got the great jiu-jitsu game. We've seen that many times, but if she can now dictate it like a Damian Maia who goes up, presses you up against the cage, eventually grabs a single, works his way into top dominant positions, that's a scary dude, Damian Maia. Now he's a little bit past his prime. I think he's only got one fight left, but if Mackenzie Dern can do that and dictate the terms of where she wants to take the fight, I think she can be a beast. That said, dude, Zhang Weili is just, oh man, she's so athletic and physical. Oh, I don't even know if Dern's got anything for her right now. I think Dern just needs to keep getting better and better, and let's let a couple of years go by and then see if she's got something for the champ, or even some of the others like Nama Yunus, Andrade, and Joanna.
As long as she continues to make weight as well. During this pandemic, she did well cutting weight.
Yeah, exactly. I think she was walking around really, really light on a fight week, so you could tell it wasn't even weighing on her. There's no, when you have that additional stressor, it's not good for the athlete. But when you have your diet all dialed in and you only have to worry about the fight itself on Saturday, man, you become that much more dangerous.
Yeah. And that's definitely what we saw. Even when she missed weight, she was dangerous.
She was also carrying an extra 5 pounds that the other person didn't have to cut.
Yes, that's true. I think that goes with any fighter. But yeah, we'll move on to the main card of UFC 250. And, I'm excited for these fights. I'm excited, of course, that Amanda Nunez is coming back. I really like Amanda Nunez a lot. I mean, she's just the best women's fighter ever. I can't think of anyone else. How about you? How would you define Amanda Nunez besides that?
Well, you're right. I think she's the GOAT. I think she's the greatest of all time in women's MMA. She's got, 5 title defenses as a bantamweight. This will be her first title defense as a featherweight. And then the featherweight, she got that title by beating the other greatest of all time, which was Chris Cyborg, and she finished her quickly. She finished her. She finished Nisha. She finished Ronda. All of them really, really quick. I think Holly, she needed another round or two, but either way, I mean, all the top gals. Only Kat Zingano's got a win on her, in the UFC. So she's awesome. Now that said, this featherweight title, I mean, let's see. I think Felicia Spencer has a good ground game that can maybe test Amanda in ways in which some of the other ladies couldn't. Not to discount that, Rousey on the ground is obviously a beast, but she never got it to the ground. So if the fight goes to the ground, it'll be interesting to see what Felicia Spencer can do. But I still like Amanda to light her up and get in a quick victory.
Yeah, I like Amanda Nunez in this fight. I think Felicia Spencer, I was on Den Thomas. He's like, Felicia Spencer gets hits a lot. She gets hit a lot standing. I mean, she can take it, but, against Cyborg, she got hit a lot. And I'm not sure she's going to be able to deal with that power of Amanda Nunez. So early on, it could be a quick night.
Yeah, I agree. And, the only thing I can think of right now, I love the strawweight division. They can all fight themselves. They got a lot of great matchups between all of them for the next 5 years. But the only thing I want to see out of the flyweights and bantamweight is one more match with Shevchenko and Nunez if they keep winning. That's what I'm pumped up about.
No belt on the line, right?
Well, I think it would be. I don't think Amanda can make 25, so I guess it would have to be Shevchenko fighting for that title. I mean, she lost to her twice, but only one of them was a title fight. So
true.
If she continues to clean out 125, which, who's left? I mean, she's got to fight Calderwood. We know that. If Chukagian can win one or two quick ones, then maybe, she can plead a case second fight. But then, who are some of the other 25ers that pose a threat? I mean, I don't know. I mean, she's already had, 2 or 3 title defenses. So, we'll see,
Yeah. Unfortunately, KGB looked like she could be, but she lost 2 in a row. She lost to Joe Calderwood, and she lost her last fight to Lauren Murphy.
Yeah. So I think Shevchenko with 2 more title defenses, that'll be 5. I think she'll want to make a run at 135 again. Now, who's to say Amanda will be there? I don't know. A lot, sometimes I think Amanda could just retire soon too, but you never know. I mean, she is already going to be a mother with Nina. Nina, I guess, is pregnant, her partner. I think Nunez will probably win this or defend this belt at 45 and then only worry about 35 for a few more fights. But I think there'll be one more big payday, and it'll be Shevchenko, and I think she'll stick around for it.
Yeah. That'd be an interesting fight. The second one was very slow-paced, not a lot of action. I wasn't a big fan of that fight. I know a lot of fans weren't. What did you think of that second fight, their first title fight? I actually was happy that it got canceled from the UFC that was going to that year because it just was so long and wasn't my kind of fight. I mean, what was your take from that fight?
I think they both fight differently than they did back then, even though it's been 2-3 years now. Shevchenko definitely has always been more of a counter fighter, very patient fighter. But I've noticed she's turned it on. And I think it was a couple of those close losses that made her realize I just can't leave it in the judges' hands. They don't see her striking game, her counter striking game. So she's turned it up a little bit more now. And Nunez, of course, is definitely, she's got, fireworks in those hands. So she's ready to just destroy. So I think the third one would be way better than the other ones. You're right. The other ones weren't, they weren't Joanna versus Zhang Weili, that's for sure.
Definitely. And I think this one would be more action-packed. I think it would be, more exciting. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So
I think they were playing chess too much. We need more chess.
Yes, exactly. That's a good analogy. And I think they're both explosive, and obviously, I think that it's just that the fact they wanted to counter each other. They were just, like you said, it was just very technical and not enough action. More waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
And then we've got, of course, in the co-main event, the Rafael Assunção, Cody Garbrandt. That'll be an interesting one. Cody Garbrandt, we haven't seen him in a while. He lost to Pedro Munoz in his last fight by knockout. And that was a really exciting fight. Felt like it could have went either way, but I'm nervous, going in there. But obviously, Pedro was showing that those hands, lighting him up. It was an easy night. Now he takes on Assunção. Well, I like Assunção a lot. I like both of these guys, obviously, but Assunção is just a guy he's been around for a while, man. WEC, you look at his record, he has over 35 fights total, so he's definitely a world travel veteran.
Yeah, he's fought everybody. I think he was 11-1 at one point as a bantamweight, and the problem was there was I think a couple injuries, and he was just a fighter that was always left off to the side. He didn't really speak up much, and then these last couple losses hurt him for sure. Garbrandt, boy, man, after he beat Cruz, I just thought this guy's going to be tough to beat. But took those losses to Dillashaw. Now he's got the one against that he lost to Munoz. And I'm just concerned about his chin a little bit. I know fighters don't like to hear that, but the fact remains, he's susceptible to some hard shots. Now, that doesn't mean that, we've gone through this with Arlovsky and GSP and a few others, but the good thing about Cody Garbrandt is him and his manager have done a good job of marketing him, and apparently he's one of the fighters that does well with just sponsorship, even outside of the octagon. So he doesn't need to just rush back into a fight. He's taking a little bit of time to get better and, put some time in between some of these knockouts. So I think Cody Garbrandt with his wrestling, his hands, is a dangerous mofo. I don't like to go against the Assunção, honestly, but I think I got to. I think Garbrandt is just, he's tough, man. He's tough. And I think I'm going to go with Cody Garbrandt on this one.
Yeah, I'm going with Cody as well. I think that he's just going to come in there with ferocity he hasn't, shown in years. I think every fight he's in is like, he just went after the guy. He bull rushed the guy. You know what I mean? It seemed like he threw a little caution to the wind. So if they can, if he learned his lesson, during that time and to come out with a safer game plan, that makes sure that he is dominating, that he's throwing the better strikes. He's throwing power. You know what I mean? Not that, it's going to affect his striking ability, but as long as he's got his capabilities in check with a newer game plan, a safer game plan, then he's dangerous.
He has some really, really nice boxing, and he just has to make sure that, and a lot of fighters go through this, there's times where he can hurt somebody, and in that process of finishing, he just has to have a little bit of patience and not get too excited and get into those firefights. Because in those firefights, that's where the danger is. You're gonna hit somebody, but you're also gonna take a couple, and he's got to put himself in a position where when he hurts somebody, take a deep breath, look at your spacing, close in, go for the kill, but just do it surgically. You know what I mean? Not get too pumped up because you're smelling the blood and you just want to go in there, and the next thing you know, you're getting hit. Because Assunção, he started off as just a jiu-jitsu guy at WEC, but then he developed some really, really nice hands. So this is going to be a fun fight, man. Both guys can crack for sure. I just like Cody's boxing a little bit better, and I love the wrestling that he has in his back pocket. So that's why I'm going with him, but he just can't get too overexcited. He needs to, like I said, I hate to keep saying the same terms over and over, but I think he just needs to be a little bit more of a chess master.
Definitely. And I think the lack of a crowd in this case would benefit him.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. And I think there's not much pressure. Think about it. Around him and Assunção, you got what's rumored to be Jan versus Aldo. Okay, that's set. And then Sandhagen versus Sterling appears to be a clear number one contender. So right now, he just needs to get past this tough out. He needs to get his confidence back with a win, get a couple big checks, maybe a bonus, and then he can make his run, towards the title again. But there's no hurry because he's not in a position to be, in a hurry. I've also heard Cody say he might even make a run at flyweight. Who knows? But plus, we still got Cruz, who will be back at some point. And Dillashaw is about 6 months away from returning. Can you believe it's almost been 2 years for him?
Yeah, it's crazy.
So there's fights out there for all those guys.
That's true. I'm excited. I think I'm enticed by Cruz and Dillashaw again.
Yeah, Cruz and Dillashaw, that might be an interesting one. I know Dillashaw feels like he won that fight, so that might work out. I don't think Dillashaw's in any hurry to fight Cody, but at some point, if they found themselves in a position, they probably would love to do that. But right now, when Dillashaw comes back, he just needs to go out there, win, let the performances speak, because he's gonna have this huge,
of course,
black shadow on him, when he comes back, and that's gonna be tough to come by. So he'll have to do it quietly.
Definitely. And then one of the matches you just mentioned, Aljamain Sterling and Corey Sandhagen at 135 pounds is on the card. So how do you feel about that matchup?
I'm pissed off that Sterling isn't fighting for the title, but I mean, what can I do? That was just my opinion. I thought he was the front runner. I thought he was the front runner, slightly ahead of Peter Yan. Honestly, I just thought he had a better strength of schedule. But they went in another direction. It's going to be Yan versus Aldo. Okay, all Sterling can do is go out there and handle his business. Now that said, Sandhagen's got some real good boxing. I don't think you want to spend too much time on the feet. I think you want to wrestle and use your jiu-jitsu. But Sandhagen's good there as well, and that's why it's minus 115 on each side. I don't know. It's going to be a really, really good fight. I think I like Sterling because he's just got a little bit more experience in big fights than Sandhagen. So I'm going to take him.
I'm going with Aljamain Sterling as well, man. I think he's really good, and all the work he's been doing, everything he's been putting together, it looks amazing. I just think the Marlon Moraes loss is probably counted more against him than anything, and that's probably why he's on the outside looking at the title picture. But I think he'll get there soon.
For sure, man. Yeah. When he lost that Moraes fight.
Yeah. But besides that, he's been doing so well. So I got him against Sandhagen. Sandhagen is so tough as well. So it's just a hard fight to pick, but you got to go with Aljamain Sterling on this one, I think.
I would agree. But you know what? Sterling needs to win and impress, so that he leaves no doubt. Because, man, if he were to win and still not get the title shot, holy shit, that would really, really suck. So he just can't go out there and cruise to the finish line. You know what I mean? He needs to go out there and just perform. That's a stacked division. We haven't even mentioned Yadong, Vera, Stamen, the return of Dillashaw in 6 months, Cruz. Well, I mean, I did mention a couple of those, but a couple of those guys I didn't mention. Kenny, of course. The Jimmy Rivera, there's just a lot of players there, man. Davishvili, I love that division.
Yeah, it is a great division. And next up at 170, we have Neil Magny against Anthony Rocco Martin. And how do you feel about this one? Because Neil Magny, actually see he came back, he got that huge win against Jinglang Li. It was a split decision, but any win is huge in the UFC, especially when you were out for over a year. That was lost time. I got to talk to him on the show recently. And, he's just fired up. He's ready to get back in there. And Anthony Rocco Martin is a tough dude. So how do you feel about this fight for Magny?
When Magny's fighting at his best, and that's taking people down, grounding and pounding them, strangling them, just sucking the life out of those guys by being dominant, he's really, really tough to beat, and only the top guys can beat him. I think Rocco Martin is a really fun fighter. I like his whole shtick with the Rocco thing. And, he makes it exciting for us to talk about him because he gets on these streaks and he's an emotional cat, you know. But I like the emotions that he shows. You can tell he's very passionate about his career. Now that said, I don't think he can beat the best Neil Magny, but I still think he has a shot. He has a really, really good shot. I mean, Neil Magny's not unbeatable, but I've noticed that Neil Magny, for the most part, is just the top guys that have been able to check him. And I don't think that Rocco Martin's been able to convince us he's one of the top guys yet. That's the key word, yet. Maybe this is the process of doing it, because he does keep getting better and better and more confident. But I'm gonna go with Neil Magny.
Yeah, me too. How do you feel Neil's going to come out with this one? Decision or
Decision?
finish?
Yeah, no, decision. Yeah. Magny.
So far, we've agreed on all the fights. What's going on here, George?
Well, there's still one more to go.
Yes. We still have, of course, Sean O'Malley, Eddie Wineland in the bantamweight division. This should be an exciting one. How do you feel about this fight? Because Eddie Wineland's been around for a very long time. Sean O'Malley is just a rising superstar in the making. Obviously he had some time off due to this, all the stuff that was going on. Obviously he tested positive, and obviously he had to wait that situation out. And he came back recently with a huge win, a huge finish. And it's the young guy versus the older guy, and the old guard versus the new rising. So I think it's a tough fight for you. I think it's a fight that, both guys are going to come in there and, they know what's at the end of this fight. They know, it's pretty much where their future is headed. For Eddie Wineland, I think it's a must win. If he wants to continue heading upward, if he doesn't want to be a gatekeeper, Sean O'Malley, he just, he wants to just make up for lost time. So we're going to be very hungry. I think it's going to be a really exciting fight. So who would you give the advantage to?
I've been slow to get to the party in terms of anointing O'Malley as the next superstar. That said, his last fight impressed me a lot. So I know how the UFC functions when the UFC sees a fighter that's got potential, and not just potential to win titles, but potential to be a box office draw. They seem to kind of like guide them in a certain way and give them, we'll say, safe matchups, favorable matchups. So I always think about that. You're right. Wineland's past his prime. He's a former WEC champ. He's got some really, really nice hands. He can box. That kid can box. But O'Malley's a big guy, man. He's big. He knows how to use his length. He's very confident. He throws with bad intentions. He's just young, cocky, and confident. And it's a good cocky. I think he's going to be too much for Eddie Wineland. I think the height and the length is going to be a key for him. Now, if Wineland can get inside of that and phone booth fight him, then he might have a better shot. All this against the cage, but against the cage, I just think O'Malley will be stronger. So more than likely, what will happen is there'll be some space in between them, and I think O'Malley will be able to do a lot of kicking and punching and just eventually get a finish.
I think it's going to finish Wineland. I think Wineland's a tough guy to take out, man. He doesn't get finished that easily anymore. He's tough. I mean, even like he loses fights that he should have won. That's happened to him. He's gone on the wrong side of a fight that he should have won. And so I think that, to his credit, he's always, displaying really great veteran, his great ringmanship. But, O'Malley's a tough dude. O'Malley is really younger. He's quicker. He's going to be operating on a bigger plane. So only the experience factor favors Wineland at that point. Will it be enough? Unfortunately, I don't think it's enough. I like Eddie a lot. He's actually commentating at HFC, promotion I cover. Mm-hmm. So I get to see him every month. Every time they have a show, and real nice guy.
He is a nice guy. He's a very nice guy, and he'll always be able to brag about that one WEC championship that he has. In the UFC, look, he had his run. Remember, he got all the way up to fighting Barao.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. So he's proven himself. He's UFC caliber through and through. He's UFC definitely a contender, and he proved that he was championship material in the sense that he got to fight for a championship. He didn't win. He happened to come up against a beast at the time, but I think he's just a few years removed from those days. You know what I mean? And good for him. He's got a couple other careers, like you said. He does a little bit of announcing, and I believe he's still a firefighter, right? So
Yeah.
He's had a great career. He's been able to bank some money, so good for him. And as long as they still keep paying him, and he still loves to fight, and he can get through these training camps and keep on doing your thing. He once told me a really funny. He had a real funny quote when we interviewed him. He had just come off a big win. I can't remember, but it was about 6 or 7 years ago. And he said, "That's how a corn-fed hillbilly gets down." It was really, really funny. But he had a little bit of that country swag, So he's always been a favorite of mine.
Yeah, same here. Same here. Great guy. And you know what? I'm going to give him a decision loss. I think Mally just puts it on him, but he survives his toughness and his grit. And then we're done with the main card. So if you had to pick any fights from the undercard that you would like to talk about real quick, anything on there?
Read them to me.
So you've got, of course, Evan Dunham against Herbert Burns, Devin Clark and Alonzo Menfield, Jessica Formiga and Alex Perez, Charles Bird and Max Piccolo. And then you've got Cody Garbrandt, of course, against Brian Kelleher.
Cody Garbrandt isn't fighting Brian Kelleher. He's fighting.
I meant Cody Stamen.
Cody Stamen. So that again, that 35 division is exciting. I like that fight, Stamen and Kelleher. I'll be rooting for Stamen. I've known Evan Dunham for a long time as well, so I'll be rooting for him. But those Burns brothers are the truth, you know what I mean? And Dunham retired one time, and now he's coming back. So, we'll see. We'll see if he still has some gas. He's a tough son of a bitch, dude. He is a zombie. When people say pick 5 guys you want with you in a zombie apocalypse, you may want Evan Dunham with you. And I know a lot of people are like, come on, No, I'm telling you, this dude is really, really a tough guy. Win or lose, he goes out there, he fights, he'll take 2 punches to deliver one, but he's a really, really tough cat. But I would say the most is probably Formiga and Perez. I'm trying to really, really push it on our show. We need to keep the flyweight division. We just need to hold hope. And at some point, I promise you, the flyweights will be everybody's 3rd favorite division because there's no getting away from the depths of lightweight, welterweight, and then of course, anybody that likes that usually also has an affinity for the heavyweights. But I'm telling you, bantamweight did it, and I think flyweight can do it too. It's going to take some time. They took a big hit when the UFC almost did away with it. Demetrius left, Henry left, but these are 2 really, really good fighters. So let's watch this and let's see what they can do. Because after Benavidez and Figueiredo and Brandon Moreno gets in that mix, we're going to be looking to see who else has got it. Is it going to be Pantoja, Formiga, Schnell, whoever? So I'm going to keep an eye on this one.
We need them to win some bonuses.
Yeah, I agree. Well, Elliot and Royval. It's just won a bonus, and they fought at 35. But again, both guys have fought plenty of times at flyweight. So,
true.
I think maybe the fight was booked too late for them to cut the extra 10 pounds, or who knows what. But they're capable. Doesn't happen too often, but those guys are exciting.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited for that one. Yeah, I'm excited for both those guys. But Royval was very impressive as well.
Yeah,
another
fight doesn't mean that he has to work.
Mm-hmm. Definitely. Well, I'm sure he's still going to work. you gotta. There's nothing wrong with double dipping.
No, you're right. If he had the commitment, then he has to go to work, honor that, but he got paid. He got the show money, win bonus, the $50,000. Sure. So if he can get into another fight and then do well there, then maybe he'll be ready to leave his job. I don't even know what his job is. Do you know what his job is?
No, I don't, but I'm obviously an essential employee, and I think those jobs are important to hold on to right now if you're not employed by, by somewhere else,
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, if you're starting UFC fighter, obviously, if you're one of the veterans, you don't have to worry about it. You get extra money. And then the one fight I just want to talk real quick is the Ian Heinisch GM3 Gerald Meerschaert. I think that's an interesting one at 185. Heinisch has been on a couple really bad losses. I mean, really tough ones. After really showing a lot of promise, his fight against Derek Brunson, that was a tough loss. And his previous fight, I forget who he fought recently, but I think I don't think he got finished, but it was a decision loss. Just didn't go his way. So, yeah, he's taking on Joe Mershaw, who's a real ace in the submission game. I really like GM. I like both these guys, but if I had to pick between these two, GM3, man, he's just shown me a lot recently.
I would agree. Both guys have been ranked in the USA Today Sports and MMA Junkie MMA rankings. So I'm familiar with each guy, and I don't think either guy is ever going to win the middleweight title, but that doesn't mean they're not tough guys. They are tough guys. And honestly, the loser of this fight will really suffer a setback. But, I think Meerschaert is going to win the fight. But it's close. It's close. It can go either way.
Definitely. Well, George, we're running out of time here, so just want to get you a chance to plug what's going on with MMA Junkie Podcast.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate it. Mondays and Thursdays is when we drop our show on our website, MMAJunkie.com. And, of course, once you go to our page, you can then elect to subscribe, via the links that we've left there for Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher. And then on Wednesdays over at Sportscaster, we do one more episode of the MMA Junkie Radio Show, but we do it in video form because with the Mondays and Thursdays, it's just podcasts, it's just audio, but, it's always fun to do a little bit of video. So that's what we're doing there. And then we also have our little side gig, which is our Patreon show, which you mentioned earlier, and you were a guest of ours last week. It's called the Triple G Show with Richard Hunter. So if you go to patreon.com/Triple G Show, you can check it out, possibly become a patron of ours, and kind of take in a little bit more of our thoughts and opinions on outside of MMA, a little bit of pop culture and entertainment and other sports. Aside from MMA, we talk about that as well.
Sounds good. It must be like a ghost town when you're going to the studio, right?
Mandalay Bay is not open right now, so we haven't been there since, I think the last date was March 14th, and Mandalay Bay is not scheduled to be one of the hotels that opens up first. So, yeah, for now, we're just hunkering down at home.
Right.
That said, some hotels are opening this week. I know Caesars for sure, Caesars Palace, New York, Bellagio for sure. I think a couple of the Stations casinos, a few of them are they're all coming around the same time. So it's going to open up, but I think it's going to open up slowly. I don't think they're just going to open all the casinos at one time, because I don't think everybody's ready to start filling up casinos. It's going to be different now. You won't have 6 to a blackjack table. You'll have maybe 3. Same thing with craps tables. It's all going to be a little bit different. So we'll see how it turns out.
Okay, you know what? Sometimes things are just meant to happen that way, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, this is going to be very, very historical, man, for, this planet, the history books. What happened in 2020 with this pandemic, man, never seen anything like it. I don't know if we ever will, because I think we're going to learn from this, that's for sure. So to you, Sean, your family, friends, all your listeners, I wish them all the most positive thoughts so that they can be safe and we can get through this all together. You know what I mean?
Yes, definitely. Same here to you and your family, to you, Brian, Goze, and all your family. We wish you the best here on the Fightlete Report. Stay safe out there. And
thank you.
Hopefully
Thanks for
we
having me
reunited
again.
one day. Yes.
All right, brother.
You too.
All right, take care.
Cheers, as always. Bye.
Bye.